Find out what's going on. Get involved. Change things from the inside. Make a difference. Take pride. Multicultural at its best. The Louisa Marshall Show. Coming up.
Today, all new Simply the Best Season 8. Get involved. In defense of human rights and dignity movement, or iDefense spokesperson and human rights advocate Ellecer Carlos relentlessly and continuously campaign all over the world to stop the extrajudicial and inhumane killings of suspected drug dealers and users in an effort to clean up drugs and crime in the Philippines, as promised by President Duterte. The president attacked human rights advocates for criticizing his bloody war on drugs and warns he orders shooting of human rights advocates, which drew criticism from Human Rights Watch. Human rights activist for 20 years, Ellecer Carlos spoke in a forum initiated by Vancouver resident Trini Lopez. Watch my special interview with Ellecer.
Everybody has the right to due process. And even if one is proven guilty,
all these coming up. According to IBT International Business Times, the exact number of people killed during the war on drugs is difficult to quantify, with no independent statistics available and police providing comprehensive data only for deaths during anti-drugs operations, where official accounts typically say suspects resisted arrest. It also says that from the start of the drugs war to the end of July, police said over 3,400 people were killed in their operations. Police said about 2,100 deaths among some 13,500 murders over the same period were drugs related, attributed to turf wars, informants being silenced, or vigilantes killing drug users. Most of the people killed have been drug users or small-time dealers in poor communities.
Our daily documentation and monitoring work at the very affected communities confirm without a shadow of a doubt that President Duterte and other high officials of the land, having had defined a particular section of Philippine society worthy of elimination, have effectively put in place a de facto social cleansing policy whereby police and vigilantes are not only encouraged but rewarded and forced to commit extrajudicial killings.
Welcome to Vancouver.
yes, thank you. It's nice to be here and to have the opportunity to actually inform Filipinos on what is happening in the Philippines.
There's so many things happening in the Philippines, Ellecer, and you are a very, very famous person in the Philippines, and rightfully, I think, all over the world, I believe, all over the world when it comes to human rights advocacy. You are a spokesperson of the most challenged human right today as we speak that is going on in the Philippines, and that is the right to live. How challenging is this for you as a human rights advocate?
Well, as most of us already know, it's difficult in the Philippines because of the thousands who have been executed in the context of the war on drugs. Needlessly, the most impoverished, beaten down individuals, and this is because of a permission structure for mass murder that has been effectively put in place by this current administration. The incitement to violence, the dehumanization of drug dependents and petty drug peddlers, no? And so, we have a Philippine National Police that has been encouraged and actually forced and incentivized to actually kill the most impoverished sections of Philippine society. And we also have, of course, the rise of vigilante killings. And authorities are unable or unwilling to actually undertake affirmative action to resolve these killings. And so they continue to this day. And it's becoming riskier for everyone in Philippine society because of the utter disregard for due process, the rule of law. And this is what we're here for, is to warn Filipinos abroad to spur public concern and, of course, a disapproval on what is happening in the Philippines, and to help call on President Duterte to put a stop to the killings, whichever political leaning you are. No, even if you are for President Duterte, you can still be against the killings. No?
This is purely human rights.
Yes.
This has got nothing to do with any political reasons.
Yes.
Can you please explain that?
We'd like to clarify that, it is not just the liberal Democrats or those ruling the ruling party in the former administration that has been opposed to policies against the death penalty, for example, or against the lowering on the minimum age of criminal responsibility and the killings. There are many groups, no? It's pretty standard for them to actually, in Filipino, kinakahon. So, boxing you up, pigeonholing anyone who criticizes or opposes policies of President Duterte. Actually, what brings us together, the 70 organizations of I Defend, are the human rights ideals, values, and principles. No, our members come from a range of persuasions, and our basis of unity is really the defense of the right to life, the defense of human dignity, as well as the defense of our precious democratic tenets that we fought hard for to actually obtain the democratic space that we now enjoy. And essentially, it's that framing that actually misleads and misinforms and actually confuses the Filipino people.
I think the Philippine people have been confused for a long time now.
To all Filipinos, decent Filipinos, we're a good people. And even if you are for President Duterte, if you are pro-human rights, that doesn't mean that you are diametrically opposed to him.
Exactly.
Or categorically opposed. You can still support the president, support this administration, but you can object to the killings, and you can actually say that you want the killings to stop. You want us to security forces in the Philippines, the Philippine National Police, to abide by the rule of law, and for this administration to actually resolve the many vigilante killings that have taken place.
As an advocate, what are your worries? As Ellecer, do you feel threatened by the present government and its supporters? And do you feel that it's a very long road to positive changes?
Yes, well, it will be an uphill struggle for us to reclaim our collective humanity, reclaim the trust in human rights ideals, values, and principles. Our safety is now the least of our worries, to be frank. We're actually worried about the continued killings. If these continue, there are several implications to this. One is we threaten to transfigure the mindsets of our entire policing establishment, transforming even the most law-abiding and decent police officers into butchers. We threaten to throw away the years of human rights conscientization and education work that we have been providing. And the Philippine National Police and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, which actually have had paradigm shifts already, have actually taken efforts to educate the ranks toward the respect for human rights. We're the only country in Asia with human rights offices in the AFP and the Philippine National Police. I am sure there are a lot of conscientized and good police and military officers who are quite disappointed with what is happening. And as the days go by, as the killings continue, we are worsening our collective sociopathy. Filipinos are becoming desensitized as the killings occur daily. You have children actually now playing Duterte games, no? At the local level, yes, at the grassroots, at community, saying, yes, hey, come here, I will Duterte you. So these games, is actually a manifestation of how we are being dehumanized. The words of a president matters. Government will always be a teacher for the good or bad. So, essentially, President Duterte's kill rhetoric, this kill language's effect cannot be overstated. No, it's very important that we stand up and require our leaders to actually have the fullest and deepest respect for human dignity and human rights.
Please don't go away. We'll be back.
We affirm the view that the human lives cost of this war on drugs, which has already claimed more victims than most genocidal campaigns in Southeast Asia's recent history, constitutes crimes against humanity.
At the local level, at the very affected communities, we are actually engaged in massive organizing and human rights education work at the moment. That's our focus, is to inform Filipinos back home actually with respect to the importance of due process. No, due process is actually a safeguard for our most basic rights. It's a constitutional safeguard. And this allows actually a person, any individual in Philippine society, ideally, prove oneself innocent in court if one is accused. And this is massively disregarded currently by the Philippine National Police. The separation of the pillars of the criminal justice system is important. The police, the prosecution service, the courts, and then you have the correction system and the public. If the four other pillars are utterly disregarded, the decision-making of who is guilty is made by only one pillar, the police, becomes a norm, then this puts everybody in Philippine society at risk. And thus, this is a collective concern. And when it comes to our most basic rights, or the foremost right from which all other rights emanate from, the right to life, Filipinos need to understand that if one of us, just one Filipino's right to life is utterly disregarded, this affects all of us. And thus we must actually, we have a lot of reclaiming to do, reclaiming our collective humanity and compassion towards our neighbors. Most especially now that thousands have been killed, this drug issue has been bloated by this president. Actually, he has created a crisis. This is not an isolated incident in the Philippines or situation. other dictators, authoritarian rulers actually used the drug issue has been an easy issue actually to use to garner popular support due to the vast majority of societies being misinformed about drug dependency. And it's really demonizing a particular section so that you can garner popular support, blame tossing a particular section of your population to garner popular support. First of all, who in Philippine society is the most affected by crime and drugs? It is also the most impoverished communities, not having enough resources to actually gate themselves up in private subdivisions or pay for private security. If a mother in the Philippines experiences a crime and actually goes to the police and complains, the police most likely will do nothing and even try to exploit her. And it is this frustration with the criminal justice system that has driven many Filipinos desperate to actually support this alternative justice dispensation system that this president has to offer. Davao forged, mind you. Everybody has the right to due process. And even if one is proven guilty, that doesn't mean that you are to be executed. Everybody deserves a chance to reform. And this poverty-inducing system in the Philippines actually has created a huge market of impoverished, beaten down individuals predisposed to becoming exploited into a life of crime. This is what we've been pointing out. The root cause is what President Duterte fails to actually respond to. No, it's the investment in a life of dignity so that every Filipino can get out of poverty. No, there is a direct relationship between the decrease of crime and the rise of a standard of living. And thus, if everybody in Philippine society begins acquiring or having access to the basic necessities and opportunities, crime rate and drug dependency rate will naturally drop. This social cleansing approach is not the answer. And this will never resolve the drug and crime issue in the Philippines.
That's a good point. I've always thought that poverty is the number one problem in the Philippines. I totally agree with you on that one. I think that that should have been addressed more, and then poor people would have been given a second chance in life. And once they get to that state that they are feeling much confident in themselves and get to educate themselves and get good jobs, I think they will change for the better.
Yeah, the democratization of essential services in the Philippines and in other impoverished contexts is very important. And that statistics show actually, of course, you mentioned that at the personal level, we cannot consent even a poor person going astray from the law. No?
Yes.
But sociologically speaking, if you take a look at the figures, the poorest countries in the world also have the highest crime and drug dependency rates. And thus, societies in Canada, the reason why, it's an educated guess that the crime rates are low here is because everybody has the basic opportunities to make somebodies of themselves and be productive. You have in the Philippines children in conflict with the law. So many because they wake up in life in brutalizing contexts and conditions, and so that is the only worldview they know. And this is also what we are countering: the lowering of the minimum age of criminal responsibility from 15 to 9. Imagine. 15 years old to 9. This is one of the two topmost priority legislative proposals of this administration. No, one is the forceful reimposition of capital punishment, and the other is the lowering of the minimum age of criminal responsibility from 15 to 9. 9 years old is a grade 3 student in the Philippines. No, And this bill, this Macker bill, does not actually put into perspective the dimension of poverty. A 9-year-old living in an urban poor area has a very different worldview than a 9-year-old living in decent material conditions. Widespread abject poverty has compromised complicated things for many of our kababayans who are in despair.
So you've been working so hard to get this out there. What do you say to all those people who are criticizing you and the whole of I Defend advocacy?
Yes. Well, let us think twice, because President Duterte's public pronouncement has actually, his programs to discredit human rights ideals, values, and principles, human rights defenders, has actually already rolled back the gains on human rights and our democratic gains for the past 30 years. We actually do not want to return to another authoritarian state. No, so many heroes, so many Filipinos actually sacrificed their lives to end the Marcos dictatorship. It's unfortunate that so many Filipinos aren't aware of what really happened because of the lack of transitional justice after the EDSA revolution. You know? We failed to hold account many who were complicit to the Marcos dictatorship. Some even became presidents, some even became senators and highest officials of the land. It's painful for us, all those who know that this is wrong and who remain silent. We have to join hands to actually encourage our kababayans here abroad. International Filipino solidarity is important. We know this for a fact that the Marcos dictatorship was ended largely also because of the huge efforts of Filipinos here in Canada, in the United States, and in Europe. I pity us, really, as a people. We should settle, as I've been saying over and over again, settle for nothing less than leaders, presidents in the future who have the deepest and fullest respect for human dignity, the right to life, and human rights. Let us, as a people, reclaim our collective humanity.
Do you feel that your life's been threatened?
My life and the lives of so many human rights defenders back home, trying to resolve the human rights crisis in the Philippines, has for quite some time now been at risk. President's message is clear. He's threatened us at least thrice publicly. No, threatened to include us in the harvesting. He threatened to behead us and threatened to make us part of the solution. This analogy has been used many times by us, is that it's like a Damocles sword hanging over our heads that hasn't fallen yet, and we hope it never falls. For now, it's limited to the killings of drug suspects, but essentially, it's a climate. It's a chilling effect for human rights defenders as well. It's a tensioning situation for us. But we will continue to struggle for human dignity, for the respect for the right to life and rule of law, for as long as these are utterly disregarded. And yes, we are concerned about our safety. This type of work has to continue. And we encourage Filipinos abroad actually to take action. You are relatively safer here. We thank our partners, here in Canada, conscientious individuals like Ms. Trini Lopez. Courage is contagious, and let us extend it to our fellow Filipinos. We're a people actually who are quite forgiving and sometimes quite timid but we have to make a stand. We have to rise up for the rights of others.
Ellecer, thank you so much for your courage. Thank you so much for your love, for your care, and for your thoughtfulness. So good luck to you. Yes. Good luck, good luck. So good luck to all of us. Good luck to all our kababayans. Thank you so much.
Legendary Boney M featuring original lead singer Liz Mitchell comes to the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver on Monday, September 25th.
By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down. Hey.
Thanks for watching. Please don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, always be kind. Let's stop bullies. See you next week. Bye-bye.